This meeting is
7
being
o'clock, 8
recorded.
o'clock here in California. It's 10 or 11 over there. So let's hit them up. Hit them up, let them know, hey, look, just want to make sure everything's okay. And, hey, we're going to redraft that payment. Just want to make sure everything's good. Do we need to change the date? Coincide with anything? No, life happened. You happen to miss payment. Fair enough. Happens, right? Or if we need to make some carrier calls, or if we need, to deal with some underwriting questions, or we had a client miss a medical exam. So what I like to do first thing in the morning, get all those calls out of the way if you can. Now, if you don't have too many of those going, then yeah, you definitely want to kind of jump right in, whether you're taking digital leads or if you're accepting live call transfers. Get yourself ready to go. Get yourself comfortable. Get yourself that cup of coffee. If you need some food in the morning, get a little bit of food. Get comfortable. And what I like to do with my little station is I got everything running on my laptop. I got my main computer if I need to do other search and stuff. Otherwise, I'll put like a Netflix movie on silent and
Yeah,
just
I was gonna
like,
ask. That's kind of what we're talking about yesterday. So, like,
yeah, just
when
kind
you're
of,
dialing out on calls, like you can dial out. That's all you're focused on because you have your dialer going. But for live transfers, like, you have a setup and you kind of have to wait for a call to come in. But you're not just chilling watching TV, right? You're actually like kind of locked in. You're ready. So when that call does come in, you're locked in, ready to go, right?
yeah. I mean, I like to just have something on in the background. I'm not like I'm even watching it, right? It's just something
Yeah.
there or whatever. But yeah, if I'm sitting here waiting for calls, sure. If I'm dialing out, sometimes I'll just have that on. Like I said, put it on obviously on silent. I'm not sitting there
I
like
mean,
watching.
you've been it for years, and you still have all your scripts laid out, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
next to me, I'll have a couple of different scripts. What I think is more important than a script is having more of like a guide, right? Of how you're gonna, okay, what kind of call is this? How are we gonna take it? And then having your objective handlers right next to you. And I think those are the ones that like,
Yeah,
I think we're going to
yeah.
be more important because that's the main thing. That's what we all deal with in
Like a
this
flow, like
industry.
where you're gonna take a client if
Sure.
this comes in. Yeah,
Yeah, but I don't necessarily believe in a full script because then it sounds like you're reading and it's just I think having a guide and having
Well,
bullet
what if you're
points.
brand new? What if you've never done this before? What if you're brand
Well, I
new?
mean, what you're gonna do with the practice is that you're gonna start creating your own script in your head because the last thing you want to do is read a script. That's not how you talk. I used to get a ton of scripts from people. I was like, that's not how I talk. So then I would go and rewrite it to a way that's going to sound more natural to myself. So that's why I think,
Yeah, because I mean,
taking,
there's no perfect script.
no,
As
there's
long as
not.
you're confident in what you're saying. So when you internalize the message of what we're trying to do, they request the information, we're trying to get them covered. So as long as you're really confident in what we're saying and leading that client, that's better than just trying to like, you know, get the word
Yeah. And
perfect.
that's why I think having a guide of what's the point? What are we trying to hit right now? Right. And if you
Love
have
it.
a little guide, a bullet point of these are my topics, and then you're going to naturally, as a salesperson, as a human, you're good. You wouldn't have this job if you didn't, right? So you're going to find a way to naturally hit those points and bring them up, right? Like for instance,
Simple.
on these live transfer calls when they come in, I first thing I do, hi, yep, this is Eric. I'm a nationally licensed insurance broker. This is Kennedy Johnson, correct? Kenny, now before we get started, I have your number as X, blah 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 blah, just in case we get disconnected. Is this a right number? Great. Awesome. Well, my name is Eric once again. I'm a broker. I deal with all the companies that do business in, whatever, if it's Pennsylvania or Wisconsin, whatever state it is. What are we looking for today when it comes to life insurance? And then just kind of let them talk or whatever, right? So initially on my little script per se, it's intro, and then next up bullet point, confirm number, and then underneath that, you know, open-ended question, welcome,
Yeah.
and then find out what they're looking for, and they'll tell you,
Just
I'm
let them
just looking for
talk.
quotes, or I'm
Then
looking for this, or
how do you redirect them? So like sometimes for a new agent, if I love that. So why are we here? What are we looking to do? Because we got to establish that, right?
yeah,
And they'll
exactly.
tell you why. then how do you redirect it or, control that call versus the client just going off for like 30 minutes?
Okay, well, they're going to talk. And you know what? You want them to talk, though, because they want to
Yeah.
hear, you want them to hear their voice of what they want. And that's called building the need. And the more they talk, the easier it's going to be for you. So you want them to kind of figure out what they're looking
And,
for. And
and
you're
you're
like,
taking
okay.
note and you're taking notes the entire time.
Oh yeah, of course, of
Yeah.
course. And I let them know because sometimes I'll be like, okay, this is, and I'll say, bear with me here. I'm taking notes. So if I'm a little quiet here for a second, they're like, oh, that's fine. And then, from there, it's just kind of like, okay, great. So we're looking for this. We're looking for this. And I just get the main summary. And then what I might do as well is verify a couple more things. Just want to verify, have your date of birth, this, and you're calling from this state. Perfect. Okay. And then from there, once they've spewed out and we're kind of like, okay, so then I got them back. I'm like, okay, great. You've told me about you, a little bit about me. I'm an insurance broker. So why that's good for you is because I work with every insurance company that does business in the state of Wisconsin. And why is that better for you? Because you're not just stuck with one company and one agent.
So you're right there. So guys, kind of unpack everything. So by talking about being a broker, he's eliminating that objection. Like, you know what, I'm going to shop around.
Yeah, you want them to be
We
like, no,
already
I've
did.
got everyone in front of me. I've got
We
everyone in front
already
of
did
me.
that for you. So, and I love like, so yeah, right. We have everything scripted, but I love that Brand's going off on like, look, when you understand the ideas and the concepts, why are we here? Let them talk. Okay, great. Now, as a broker, understanding that it doesn't matter if they want to go shop around for other companies, we have them all. So you're saying that up front. I love that. All right, keep going.
So from there, I'm like, hey, look, why that's better for you is because I'm going to have multiple options. I work with every company that does business in the state of Wisconsin. And why that's best for you is because I'm able to get the best plans and rates for my clients based upon their wants, their needs, and most
Love it.
importantly, their budget. Right. And because I have every company in front of me, I'm usually sometimes able to apply for multiple companies at once, and we'll see which one comes back better. And that's just going to be better, a better plan for you. We're giving you all the options on the table to, make the best educated decision. And then I always say this too, because I know when you reached out to us and what you're looking for, you have a mental checkbox in your head. Client, you probably want to spend X amount of dollars. You probably want this amount of coverage. You probably want to have these benefits, I'm assuming, right? So I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the education so we can check off all those boxes and you can rest easy knowing, hey, I got everything I needed. This is exactly what I was looking for. And we can, make an educated decision to move forward
And
with
and
this
this is what
coverage.
and this is what you're saying to the client. I love the wording of it. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that you have, you
Yeah.
you sound like an expert by just, it's a natural wording, I want to make sure that you have everything that you do, just like these little things they make, they add up and they make a difference on when we're talking about trust and when you do move into the app, you're doing it over and over again and finding your voice, but that's huge. So yeah, I want to make
Yeah,
sure that,
because what we're doing is
yeah,
like handling the objection before they even happen. What's the objection? They're going to probably, okay, well, that's great. I need to still, I got a couple other companies I need to shop around for. Why? I just gave you all the companies. And then the other one is, okay, I need to think about it. Well, we just checked off all the boxes you're looking for, right? You knew exactly what you wanted to spend. You knew how much you want to be covered for. You knew what kind of benefits and what type of coverage. We should have checked off all those boxes. So now, I mean, then from there, that's why I say all those things
yeah, at the
up
beginning,
front.
you ask them at the beginning,
Yeah.
why are we here? What are we looking to do? And
And
this template works for any type of lead.
yeah, whether it's if I dial them for, a paper lead or whatever, a digital lead, or whether they are live transferred to me, this is my process, right? I already after doing so many years of just, I used to go face to face to clients and have a totally different kind of script and way of doing things because you're stuck in their presence but when
Right.
you're on the phone, you got to kind of make it quick, but you don't have to. But you know what I'm saying? You do want to hit up all these objections ahead of time, and you want to be swift, but still make sure that they're being heard and making sure like you're putting them at ease. Now, when you're saying all that too, when you're looking, this is why a little bit about who I am. what I like to do, depending, this kind of goes 50-50, kind of reading the client. I like to, so before we get going, let me send over my verified digital business card.
Nice.
This has my license on it. And so I make like, several different ones with different states for all my different licenses. And I'll text, this is your cell phone, I'm assuming, correct, client? And they're like, yeah. Great. Let me send this over to you right now. And then I do that. I'm like, this has my license number, my agency, my email, my direct line, all my information. So that way I'm building trust before I start asking them their information. Right.
Yeah,
so
that was perfect. Yeah.
And then at that point, I'm like, okay, so once again, me being a broker, in order for me to do my job, I need to ask you a few basic questions. What this is going to do is help me paint a better picture of your scenario so I can get you in front of the right companies. And then I remind them, look, I don't work for the insurance companies. I work for you.
Yep.
And once again, my job is to get you the right company, like I said, based upon your wants, your needs, and budget, that you're going to have a good chance of getting approved for, and that's going to check off all those boxes you're looking to do. Does that sound fair enough? And then they'll say, yeah, go ahead. And then I'll start asking the questions and, start filtering out the health questions.
Yeah, I mean, even the wording, guys, I mean, kind of pick it. This is going to be recorded. It's going to be on our Discord, but even like the way you preference asking the questions, just, in order for me to do my job, in order for me to make sure that we actually get the company that comes back for you specifically the strongest, the way you work, dude, that's awesome. And then getting into the health, because we can't say, so you've never been, you're in good health, right? However you want to say it, but it's a flow. So that's huge. So kind of unpack it a little bit, back up. You have a template, you don't really have a full script. You kind of have these little boxes that you check off.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
You want it to sound
broker.
natural. You want the conversation to sound natural. And if you have a bunch of crap in your script, then you get behind, or then you start like spewing it off, and it sounds like you're reading. I don't like it. I don't like the way those calls end up going, for me at least. I don't know. That's why I like the bullet points, because there's a million different ways to say who we are and why what my job is for you, right? So that's the whole point of trying to just have those bullet points so you can say it naturally and get that across to them, and such a have the conversation and not sound like you're reading or you're.
Yeah. So broker, okay, and then you ask questions, okay, and then you do the health, and then they keep going. Then how do you when you get into quotes?
Yeah. So then I'll be like, okay, so some of the questions up front, the easy ones I ask up front. So have you had life insurance before? Okay, and are you familiar with how it works? Great. Now, everything's based off of health. Are you currently seeing a doctor for any ailments at all? Regardless, it could be anything: diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, cholesterol, whatever it may be. And then, they'll tell me, and then I always remind them, remember, you want to be 100% transparent with me, because I got to get you those right companies. I have hundreds in front of me.
Yeah.
I got hundreds in front of me. So let's make sure we get the right ones. And then a lot of times they'll be like, oh, well, actually, yeah. Then I'm on this ibuprofen, and I'm on these vitamin C pills. I'm like, okay, we don't need all that stuff. But yeah, right. I'm glad you're sharing that. And then I always say, this is the most important question, regardless if you're taking medications or not. Are you prescribed anything on a daily basis? Because we've all been there where, yeah, they don't say they take hydrocodone or something like that, but they've been prescribed it, right? And then that's usually a red flag with some carriers. So
once you get through the health, then what's the transition to the app, or the quote in the app, that part, how everything's leading into doing the application?
Okay, well, so because here's the thing: once you get that health information, you got to find out what kind of policy we're going to be writing these people, right? And whether it be, if this was an IUL lead, do they qualify for an IUL? Will they only qualify for like a universal life, or maybe even just a whole life, right? And then same thing with a live transfer. Are they going to be a term? Are they going to be whatever? So that's why you got to ask those questions. And then from there, then I kind of started to beat them up a little bit and build the need. Okay, so right now you've given me all these answers. Great. Now you're telling me, because one of the questions I asked is, who's the beneficiary going to be in this case? They'll say like my 2 kids Gotcha. And then you told me you didn't have insurance before. And then I'll be like, so right now, if something were to happen to you, where does that put, Susie and Donnie, whatever their kids' names were, and just let them
Sure.
again kind of start talking. And because once they've given you all that health information, then I kind of remind them again of why they're calling, why
Yep.
they're, building the need again, why they need this, and kind of let them answer their own question and let them hear
So
that
if we
again.
did, yeah, so you said kind of back that. So where does that put Johnny into? So, if we
Yeah.
don't put this in place, where does that put them?
And
It's
then,
not
yeah,
scary,
you gotta be
it's just a
quiet and
conversation.
let
Yeah.
them talk. And then one of the other best things I always say too is, gotcha. Have you guys have heard of a GoFundMe before? And they'll be like, yeah. Like, is that something you want to have Donnie and Susie go through? God forbid if something were to happen to you. That's something I'll say too if they're kind of like no, we went through that before. It was a nightmare. Or my dad passed away and we didn't have enough. We had to do a GoFundMe for my dad. You'll hear people's sob stories. They're like,
Guys, and that's a big deal. Not everyone does open up, but I was talking to Jose, agent on the call, got a deal earlier today, and the lady was crying on the phone. She basically opened up on why she really wanted this, right? Sean's deal that he got yesterday found really the lady told him her story. Hey, my son's in the Navy, right? So if we actually don't stop and listen and let them talk, then we're never gonna get past that surface level, right? So like we're talking about the deal that you got yesterday, like that one deal that you got after like working all day. What, even asking that question of like, hey, well, how did you get that deal? Like, for example.
so after I asked the health questions, I found out this lady, she's got liver failure. Okay, so she wanted final expense. Actually, it was for her sister. And her sister has liver failure. I was like, okay, so that's why I asked all those questions. Like, all right, so elephant in the room. And I always tell them my clients always appreciate what they need to hear rather than what they want to hear.
Love
But
it.
your sister is almost uninsurable with that liver failure. She's 69 with she's not on dialysis yet, but she's got liver failure. She's like, yeah. She goes, but I don't need that much. I only need, you know, whatever it may be. I can't remember exactly what her number was. I was like, okay, but you have to remember, we have to understand that, where she's at medically. A lot of insurance companies are going to find her a little tougher to insure. But once again, the good news is while you're working with a broker,
Nice.
if I can get you some coverage rather than having nothing at all for your sister, would that put you in a better place after today's call? She's like, yeah, of course. That's why I'm reaching out to you. I'm like, okay. So, then we get into the quotes and looking at, all right, so this is what I recommend for anyone that's in your sister's state. They're almost 7 years old. They're in almost a terminal state. They've got, a serious disease like liver failure. It's always better to have some coverage rather than none. We don't want to, she doesn't want, I'm sure she doesn't want to leave you guys with a burden of having to bury or whatnot. Then running by a quote, this is some, guaranteed issue or I don't like a whole life that's, graded or whatever it may be. We're looking at $10,000 for $80 a month or something like that. Just, like, oh, it's a little bit higher than what I'm looking for. I'm like, okay, well, what exactly did you have in mind? What you're looking to, pay for this? I'm like, oh, maybe around $30. I'm like, okay, well, if we can do, how about we can do 35? I can get you this amount of coverage. It's going to be a basic death benefit, but there'll be something there rather than nothing. Considering your sister's condition that's almost terminal, we're going to have a good chance of potentially getting approved here. This is within your budget. This is, we're getting the coverage of what you're looking for. You're going to be resting easy tonight. How does this sound? Does this sound like this is going to be a better scenario for you? And she's like, yeah, I can do this, for 35. Great. Well, remember, nothing is guaranteed. That's the one thing with life insurance, that it's not guaranteed. So what we need to do is we still need to get that application in. And whether we get approved or not. We can set the date for next week. We can set the policy to go live at the end of the month, whatever it may be, but we still need to get that
Okay.
approval.
Dude, I love you, man. That's awesome. Let me just unpack that because there's a couple just nuggets in there I don't want to glaze over. Even as you're going off with the client, you know, always it's better to have some coverage than none. You know, as we're talking to clients, guys, even as we're talking to you guys, certain things get picked up. You know, we don't know, we can't see the client. We can't see if they're really paying attention or not, but there's certain lines that you say that like that stood out to me. It's always better to have something than some coverage than not have anything at all, right?
And then asking her, it just puts you in a better position than before you called me today with this coverage. $35 a month, we're within your budget. You know, we're not getting $20,000 like you wanted, but we're getting, you know, $5,000-$6,000. I mean, that takes care of cremation or a good chunk of it at least. And, you know, you're getting that death benefit. Are we checking off those boxes that you hope to check off? You know, and that's the whole thing, you know, is making sure they realize. And when they say yes, and they're like, yeah, exactly. And then they're almost like kind of answering for themselves of like, hey, now they've got no reason to,
I mean, you started the conversation, you know, they may have been like, I want to think about it, but then you brought it back and now they're a little bit more into it. They're like, yeah, no, that does make sense. But I don't know if you caught it, guys. But again, it doesn't really matter. We have to make sure we can even qualify. We have to see if we can get this. So you're still that guide. You're still the authority because, dude, we don't know if we can get this. So.
Well, yeah, we can negotiate our numbers all day long, but if you can't even get qualified, what's the point? We just wasted both of our times, right? So there's no money down, no obligation, but we need to get you qualified. And that's like kind of like my way of being like, look, we can start this next week, the week after, even the end of the month, whenever your finances are the best. But this is all hearsay until we get you qualified. And are we checking off those boxes? Are we, you know, like you really are just being like, look, we've given you everything. We've given you all the companies. We've given you the options. You know, we've ran a couple numbers. Okay, the price was too high, right? There's usually 3 reasons why people don't buy. It's either the price, the product, or it's you. And I mean, if she still would have said no, I would have hit her with that line. I'm like, you know, there's 3 reasons why people don't move forward. It's usually the price. Is it the price of the product? No. Okay. Is it the product itself? Okay. Or, you know, if it's me, don't let me hold you back from protecting, you know, your sister and your family. I can get another agent on the line here, no problem.
You actually say that?
Not on a phone call, but that's like a Hail Mary, you know.
Yeah. If it's me, don't let me stop you. That's awesome, man. Was that Smart Financial or all web lead?
That was all web leads. So, but another thing too, you know, regardless of where you're getting your leads from, right? But you know, just keeping those doors open and understanding, like, hey, look, people are going to come at you. I mean, this is something I've noticed the last like 3 years, 2 years doing internet leads. I was doing those IUL leads for most of the year, and then I just kind of saw them kind of off a little bit. They just became slower. It's not because the marketing for the leads had taken a back seat. The people that were doing those leads, I guess they got pushed back. So the amount of leads were coming in a lot less. So what they did is they started reducing the quality and quit putting some of the filters on the leads. So then in turn, the quality of the lead went down. So
yeah, so he just would get them. And that's the thing too. I love that you bring that up because every agent, they're like, all right, what do you use? What leads do you use?
They're all the same.
Perfect leads. There really are. I mean, Roman, you talked, there really isn't going to be a perfect lead, but once you do find and you know what the ratios are, like, I mean, you're having pretty good success right now with at least with Smart Financial.
And on both companies and stuff, I have them add filters. Just add filter. Like, I won't take anyone above 74 because I don't like dealing with someone that's 80 years old that thinks that they can get $25,000 for under. That is just not going to happen. And then on top of that, the commission on anyone over 80 is lower than normal. It's just I've had bad luck with that. Other agents are really good with those not. So I've I purposely on all my leads, I cap out at 74 because at least that way I know that okay, there's still like some wiggle room there.
Sure.
And yeah, for the amount of work you're
And,
doing.
and if you're using Smart Financial all web leads, do you have them both going at the same time, or what do you do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but then that's the thing though, is you got to look, all right, you got a call coming in, so you got to block the other one, whatever one you're taking right then and there, they'll automatically block it for you. But so that way you're not getting two calls at once. But it's also holiday season, and it's not just life insurance leads. It's car insurance leads, health. Not health per se, because I think there was open enrollment recently, but that's phasing out here on Monday. So it's just this also it gets looking at time of year. Sometimes it gets a little bit more quiet, but in the month of November, my phone was ringing off the hook. It was good. So but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we're talking
so
about this yesterday. I was talking to Roman about this as well. It's like, all right, during December, I've had big Decembers. I've had, holidays. I think it's more of a mindset than anything else. Um, Would you suggest even like going harder on getting more leads, or if your life depended on it and you had to make money over the next
then
week?
just be available longer. Be available all
Yeah.
day. Get up early. Get up on the East Coast time. Start at 6. That's 9 o'clock East Coast time, and then stay on till I think it's 6 o'clock Pacific time. That's 9 a.m. East Coast time. So that means leave your phone on for 12 hours, and you might get those full days calls
Sure.
where maybe during like a November or January, maybe you get those calls in like 5 or 6 hours. Well, then because there's less calls coming in, doesn't yeah, and yeah, you're right. Doesn't mean you still can't make money during this time. I've had some surprisingly good clients around Christmas time because heck, if they're willing to talk to you and buy during Christmas time, not only are they good people, but a lot of times they do spend
And
quite a bit.
dude, I love that you said
So
that, because like, dude, if you do get a call of someone that is looking for
you
any
you
type of
could
insurance,
could find that whale.
it's like a lay down. I mean, honestly, like if someone's ready to go this time of year, I think the close rate is going to be pretty high. So a lot of it's how we look at it, right? There's like stories of like salespeople that they don't, if it's raining outside, they don't want to go canvas, right? We don't do anything like that. But I'm just saying it's more a mentality. It's like, well, dude, there's no one out and everyone's home, so I can reach more people, right?
Sure.
So
And this also comes with time too, setting yourself up where you have that huge October, November, and then or like because holiday season. Yeah, I don't want to stress. Excuse me, I
yeah,
don't want to stress during holiday season. So I'm going to work that overtime, especially October, most of November. Work it hard. So then by the time holiday season comes around, you maybe get a couple good weeks in or whatever. But then you're not. You can set yourself up so you're not pressed. And then I don't know what it is when you don't need the money and you're
you get
selling
deals.
during holiday season, you sell.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, cool,
It's
man.
weird.
So we're coming up on over half hour. Let's open up to any questions that anyone has for Van while we got Van on with us. Any questions, leads, yeah, or how he's running presentations, closing, any questions at all.
How do you determine which carriers you're going to then?
I like to. Okay, so you get like 5 or 6 carriers contracted with. You don't need a ton, but okay, for IULs, I'll have like 2. Mutual of Omaha IULE is a instant, beautiful product. Now, if they need a lot more underwriting, they're going to take some more time. F&G. What I do is I just do a little bit of research, try to find out. And you want to look at your carriers a couple different ways. Well, obviously, like the product, what kind of benefits are they going to get, living benefits and whatnot. The price of the product too. Their underwriting procedure. Are they going to be express? Are they going to likely have to go med? And then another thing to think about too is it's natural in the game. Some people are gonna not make their payments. Okay, so if we need to
Yeah.
redraft payments, how easy is it for them to redraft?
What was the carrier that we were talking about yesterday? I think it was Moo.
Yeah, they're very Moo's very easy to work with, but their
Mutual of Omaha.
negatives I would say. Um, for like their term life or whatnot, they're a little bit more expensive, and then sometimes they're a little bit harder to qualify for, but they have that instant approval on their apps where you can kind of see if they're trending favorable or not, right? So that's a selling point. But to answer your question, really, I pick like one or two of each product. And those are the ones I just go with. Those are my go-tos, right? So right now my whole lives are Royal Neighbors, Jet Whole Life, and Mutual of Omaha, Living Promise. And then if I'm looking at terms right now, I like Forrester Strong Foundation. That's a good one. What's another one? The American Amicable, they're like Home Protector or whatever. That's another good one.
Yeah, so on the FE side, you said, yeah, you're using a lot of Living
Just
Promise.
easy ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
IULs, Mutual of Omaha, IULE,
Very cool. And then
F&G.
we
Yeah.
have a question from Richard.
Yeah.
Let's look. So Richard, you want to ask that because it kind of trails off a little bit. So question about handle a situation where you get the premium part and they block your rebuttals to their hesitations twice. So I guess it's a question about,
Once you give them a quote.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, really kind of circling back, are we checking off those boxes, right? What's making them hesitate? And reminding them, okay, is it cost? And it's like cost can be a couple things, is it cost or is it value? Are you not seeing the value of this product? And then asking them, now, if you think this is a valuable still product, right? Because a lot of time it's usually cost, right? Well, if you see the value in this product, so what if we lower the cost, but you still see the value, and when you're ready, we can always add more coverage to it. But just the main thing is to answer that question is finding out those boxes. What are we doing? And there's just going to be some people that are going to come in. They're going to be 70 something years old, and they think they're going to get $100,000 or whatever of coverage, and that's just unattainable. That's just part of the. I mean, gosh, if you could sell every lead, we'd be rich, and that's not going to happen. The odds are just not like that. So
yeah, I mean, with Vince saying it'd be nice if we had like one line. If someone has if they're like, well, it costs too much. There's something missing that we didn't really hit at the beginning. So it's like a cake, different ingredients. So it may be cost, but there's something might be,
they have to see the value in having this
ready
coverage. Value and cost are two different things, right? Because a cost could be still high, but if they see the high value in it, they're gonna, okay, well, the cost makes sense. If they don't see the value, that's what you need to emphasize and hit home with them. It's like, hey, now that we've had this conversation and you called us or whatever it may be, we got on this conversation and we had this thing. Are you going to see the value in having an application in by the time we're done talking? And think about that. That's the way you got to look at it. Like, okay, how are these clients going to see this value of just speaking to me right now? Yeah. For them, maybe the value is time. Like, hell, I just spoke with a broker. I don't need to call anyone else now. I don't want to go through this again. Right? So they're going to be like, knock it out. Yeah, all right. I see the value in working with this guy. He's got everything in front of him. Let's just work with him, honey. He's the best. He's fun. Right? So then now we see the value, then they're going to be more trusting on your word. Look, this is, and then I'll give them two different quotes. This is Mutual of Omaha. This is Rural Neighbors. You're looking for $20,000. One is $98 a month. The other one is $94 a month. We're talking a $4 difference. The only difference is the more expensive one is going to be a little bit easier to qualify for than the cheaper one. But how about we just apply for both, see which one comes back. This is the value you're getting with working with a broker. I've got both options here in front of you. You're now I'm showing them too. There's not going to be a better option. Everything's going to be roughly around the same. And we're going to see which one comes back, and we'll give you that choice at that point.
Is the trust that you built at the beginning, that flow of, listening to what when you ask the question of, why are we here, actually listening, right? So when you get a lot of objections or just like, I want to think about it, we probably didn't build enough at the beginning, or there's probably something missing there.
Yeah, and like I said, I keep using the word value. I probably should have said that more at the beginning of this call, but that's literally the goal is them having to realize, okay, I'm better off now working with this agent. getting this application in than I was before I even started talking with this person. And if you're not providing that, then they're not gonna do the app, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
Van,
plain and simple.
we had a question on leads. How much you spend on leads? I know, like I was talking to you.
Yeah, yeah.
We started with so you spend like 1250 with all web leads, Smart Financial. You got what, 5 deals? Like
Yeah,
anyway,
so
you can go off on it.
yeah, I load up like 250 to 400 at a time. And with those calls, you know, they're anywhere from $60 to 75, $80 per call. And looking at everything, I mean, in the month, I started I started like Halloween week or weekend. And I spent a little over $1,200 and submitted $12,616 in like, what was it? Like, well, last week I didn't really work too much, but yeah, you know, so it wasn't bad. Like 12 grand in about 6 weeks. So about average about 2 grand a week.
So
You know,
so we'll break it down. So you're turning 2,000 and lead spend to what? How much
you know,
annual premium?
okay, so I took a total, I think like 24 calls or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. I got a few comps because, you know, some of the calls were looking for health insurance or, you know, they get disconnected or whatnot. So, I mean, okay, so I would say if I'm averaging about 4 calls a day, I should be closing ideally two to three, right? Expect about a 40%. I mean, gosh, if you're still new to the game, I would say 33 to 40%. If you're good, should be around 45 to 60 percent closing ratio. I mean, that's why those live transfers are a little bit more expensive. Now, if you're taking, when I used to order IUL leads, I would order like 40 a week. And I would close, of those 40 a week, I would close like 2 to 3. So a little bit less than 10% on those. So I'd say about 7% on those. But here's the thing though, with those paper leads, you may not close it that 1 week, but you might get those leads that are a couple weeks old that you might close later down the road. So it is what it is.
Kind of break down. So your first with all web leads, Smart Financial, your first batch, you spent about 1250. Said you wrote about 10 grand off that first batch or that first.
Yeah, well, I was $500 to kind of, and remember, everything goes towards your calls.
Yeah.
And then I just did a couple of like what, 400 like dollar recharges or something like that or whatever, and got, you know, a few more calls out of it. And I got a couple of comp calls too. I think I might spend a little bit more than $1,200.
So you keep reloading though. You don't stop. Like you always keep.
Yeah. And then some days I only got like 2 calls. Some days I got, you know, 5 calls. It just kind of depends, right? And another thing too is making sure you have, you know, all your states. You can't just have like 3 or 4
Yeah,
states.
it's tough. I mean, again, we're talking about live transfers here, guys. I mean, if you out on leads or as live transfers, the bottom line, the return is still going to be, it should be at least 4 times, hopefully, in commissions what you're spending. So whether it's dialing out or you're taking calls, you know, if you're doing live transfers, you do need states, you know, 10 to 15, I would think be a minimum to really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because right now at the beginning of the year, I'm going to add another. I'm at 15.
15.
Yeah, and I'm going to add another, probably at least another 5. So I'll be at 20. If I can get to 25, that's half.
That's not bad. I mean,
yeah.
Some may just think they need like 20 or 30 states. I mean, 15 states, and you know, you're still.
And I'm a little slow, to be honest. Yeah, I know other people are doing live transfers that are getting 10 calls a day, and they've got, you know, 35 states and stuff.
Yeah.
So
no,
yeah.
That's awesome. Do we have any other questions here? Objection handling. Yeah, we can try to get the script for that Van uses. Got a question of, does he have a script that he can share with objections? How do you usually build rapport?
Oh yeah, another thing. I just got a referral today. Once you close the deal, if you haven't already sent the digital business card, send that deal. And I'd be like, hey, by the way, client, once again, thank you for letting me become your agent on record. Anything moving forward, I will be your person regarding all your life insurance needs and all that stuff. And what I do for all my clients that I tell them, I do a referral bonus. So anybody that you want to send me, or if you want to give me their information, or if you want to send my card to them and they call, anyone that you refer that gets approved, I'll do $100 bonus for anyone that gets approved. Right? That's
So why
totally
not?
legal because you're asking for referrals, and yeah, and you can do an Amazon gift card or whatever. People are all about that. I mean, I've gotten tons of clients from I had one IUL client. I ended up getting 3 other apps from the guy. I ended up sending him, a $300 Amazon gift card for 3 other employees, and then they're like, "Well, heck!" And then they're gonna refer their friends. So, yeah, always.
I mean, why not? I mean, dude, and there's a
You
lot of
never
different ways
know.
to do
You never
referrals. I
know, and
mean,
you'll get for every 20 sales, you might get one referral. Or another thing to do is reach back out to them after a month. Hey, just want to see, make sure the coverage, you got your paperwork, payment went through, everything great. We don't need to change anything. Hey, just a reminder, I do a referral bonus for all my clients. Remember, I'm your agent on record now. Just want to see if you had anyone in mind that could use my services. They'll be like, oh, that's right, I forgot.
and guys,
Here,
just another idea for referrals as well. I've
free leads. That's free
agents
leads.
that do this. So getting the beneficiaries' information and actually reaching out to the beneficiaries. 42% of life insurance goes unclaimed because the beneficiary didn't know their parent or whoever that was had a policy. So letting the client know, hey, look, is it okay if I reach out to your beneficiary, introduce myself, make sure that God forbid anything happens to their mom, then I'm the person to reach out to, and I want to make sure they have this, right? And of course, they say that, yeah, that's fine. We should do this anyway as agents, just as human beings. But then that's a very easy lead in, like, oh, do they have anything? Do they have coverage? I had one agent that was buying leads for months, and then he stopped because he just hopped from one war market to the other, just on referrals. So reaching out to the beneficiaries, why not?
That's a good idea. I never even thought about that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
But then like that one client can turn into 4 other new leads because the beneficiary, the contingent, and then even a backup emerge. So anyway, that's just something else that, drive business and tap into. So that's huge. Cool, guys. Any other questions for Van, while we got him?
And then I'll email you or text you my like I said, I don't have a script.
I love your bullet point. I mean, it's very simple. It's
Pretty simple.
yeah.
Yeah, just bullet points, and that
Bullet
way
points.
you guys can make your own script out of it, and that's the whole point of it. So you guys sound natural on the phone. The clients can tell if
There's
you're
no
trying to
perfect
sell.
script as long as you're confident in what you're saying and
Yeah.
doing it over and over again, you're going to find your voice. So, but yeah, any last advice to new agents that are trying to get going?
Don't give up. I mean, you're gonna have. I'm 7 years in the game, and there's times when I'm like, damn, went the whole week without a sale. It happens, but then the next week, God, you'll have two $300 a month sales. You're like, I just made over $6,000 in premium in 2 days, and then
Yeah.
that just made up for last week. Like, keep your head up. Like, you never know that next referral, that next person, and just because they sound old or whatever, man, I got a couple of off these live transfers. I got a couple of $300 a month sales right off the bat, and I was like, damn, that was awesome. That was something I didn't expect. So
No, it's huge. I mean, so many are going to do so much. And yes, sometimes it's
keep
hard.
your head up. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any other questions at all for Van? Cool.
All
All right,
righty.
guys. Well, Van, you are the freaking man. I really appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me on here, bud.
And again, hopefully, you guys can take this with you. I mean, there's so many different styles, so many different ways to do this business, but the bottom line is, getting in front of enough people per week to make the type of money you want to make per week. There's no way around it. So, and again, so it's Thursday. We have a little bit of a window, guys. It's, the 22nd, 23rd, that's kind of when it starts to really slow down like a lot. So today's the 11th, right? So we got about 10-day window to go as hard as possible. Anyone that you do get on the phone, I think it's going to be almost a laydown. If someone's looking for insurance right now and they can be doing a lot of other things, a lot of it's just the mentality that you have. I mean, so like Jose got his first deal today. Brent, new agent, same with Sean. So a lot of it is just the mentality that we do have with like, should I spend money on leads? Should I turn myself on with live transfers? Just put yourself in a position to win. That's the biggest thing because we don't know what's going on in other, the client's minds. But if someone's ready to go, then let's make sure that we're locked in and we can move them. So anyway, any questions, let me know. Contracting, let's knock that out. And yeah, finish the week strong. Thanks, guys.